So my name is Mason Worthy. I'm in the Monday, Wednesday, Friday class at 8 a.m. and I did my book over How Much Is Enough by Arthur Simon. So just to give you a little background of the book, it was originally published in February of 2003. It is 193 pages. Also, a quick little overview of the author. He is a graduate of Dana College in Blair, Nebraska, and Concordia Seminary in St. Louis, Missouri. He is also an ordained Lutheran minister. His late brother was United States Senator Paul Simon. He was a Democrat in Illinois. He pastored at Trinity Lutheran Church on New York City's Lower East Side from 1961 to 1972. Before retiring, he directed the Washington office of the Christian Children's Fund from 1992 to 1997. Another book that Arthur Simon wrote was Bread for the World, which also is kind of interesting. That book actually won National Religious Book Award. So this book is written by a very knowledgeable author. So it was definitely a good read. Definitely enlightened me in many different ways that I'll tell you about. So the summary of this book, so it talks about in the book where he uses the phrase that Western civilization is sick with affluenza, I guess that's how you pronounce it, or runaway materialism, and shows readers how to reject the disease. He also talks about how to deal with financial issues and just financial stuff in general in the book. And it, as me not being a great person with money, it definitely enlightened me in a different ways, specifically biblical knowledge and how to treat my money. So two main things that I learned are starting with chapter 2. So I will go to chapter 2. So the title of chapter 2 is Fat Wallets, Empty Lives. And what I really took from that is that fat wallets, empty lives. So when I think about that, when I'm so focused on a fat wallet, when I'm so focused on getting so much money that I so much desire, I have such an empty life, meaning that I spend all my time working myself to death and not spending any time with family. So I just have an empty life. Also, if I'm constantly thriving for worldly things and not thriving towards God, or striving towards God, I guess is a better word, my life will be empty. I'll be too worried about materialistic things that I will never have time for God and my family. And so therefore my passion for all of that is going to suffer also. So there is a quote from that I really liked. It says, "There is misery," says Richard Foster, "when people lack provision. But there's also misery when they try to make a life out of provision." And so I just really like that. Thought I'd share that. The next one is in chapter 9. Yeah, chapter 9. So how much is enough? When I went to chapter 9 and I read through chapter 9, it really spoke to me in a thought process and conversation that me and my friends had the other night. And it's basically how much is enough. In chapter 9, it says, "How much is enough?" Rockefeller paused for a moment, smiled, and replied, "Just a little bit more." It was an honest answer. Whether we are rich or poor, one thing we can never seem to get is enough, because idols appear to work, though never to the satisfaction of the heart. They constantly induce us to want just a little bit more. And I think that's so true. When we don't focus on God and we constantly focus on worldly things, nothing will ever be enough. And then we wonder why our life is just going down the drain. A lot of times in my relationship with my fiance, especially in the early part of our relationship, when I didn't bring God into the relationship, and when she didn't, nothing seemed to be enough. When the main focus wasn't God and the main focus was other things in our relationship, nothing seemed to be fulfilled. But when we brought it into the relationship, we were so much more satisfied with the people that we were, and we weren't constantly saying, you need to change this, you need to change that. We became happy with each other and saying, you know what, that's how God made you, and I'm fine with that. And I hope I didn't just go down a rabbit hole, but that's just what I really got from it. Also, it reminded me of this piece of scripture in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, where is it? Here it is. Chapter 12, verse 9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. When it says my grace is sufficient for you, it just means that it's enough. And I've heard this saying, it says nothing will ever be enough in your life until God is enough. And when I heard that, it just changed my life around. It changed my outlook on my relationships with my friends, family, and my fiance. It just turned it all around and made life so much better, to be honest. So that is it. That is what I took from the book. It was a great read, and I will definitely recommend it. I will now show you the cover of my book. So let me make this full screen for you. So here is the cover of my book. That is just the version that I have on my MacBook. So that is what I read.